There's something quietly intriguing about a man who conceals his emotions. You notice it in the way he looks at you when he assumes you're not paying attention, how his gaze lingers just a fraction too long, how his presence subtly shifts the moment you enter the room. He appears composed, confident, even slightly reserved, yet beneath the surface, something is stirring. He desires you, even if he's doing everything possible to hide it. Many women assume that if a man is interested, he'll make it obvious. He'll text first, chase, and declare his intentions. But the reality, often overlooked even by emotionally aware women, is that men experience desire differently. They're conditioned to control it, rather than openly express it. They mask it with logic, friendship, or busyness. But that longing doesn't vanish. It simply finds alternative ways to surface. You can detect it in small hesitations, subtle jokes, or protective gestures. Once you learn to recognize these cues, you'll never doubt what he truly feels. Everything becomes clear. Today, I'll guide you through 7 hidden signs that reveal when a man is thinking about you constantly but refuses to admit it. Before we begin, it's important to note, this isn't about playing games or decoding messages. It's about understanding emotional reality. Attraction isn't always loud. Often it's quiet, complicated, and disguised as friendship, sarcasm, or even indifference. Many women misinterpret these subtle signals, assuming he's just kind, preoccupied, or disinterested, when in truth, he's wrestling with his own emotions. Perhaps you've met a man who is steady and grounded, yet his eyes hint at something deeper. You catch him looking, but when your eyes meet, he quickly glances away. You sense tension, electricity, yet he brushes it off with a joke. You wonder if you imagined it. When a man genuinely desires you, his body and emotions often betray his words. He might say he's not ready for anything serious, yet his actions tell a different story. You notice it in the details, his tone when saying your name, a subtle shift when you mention another man, or the way he recalls the smallest things about you, even things you forgot. I once believed that if a man wanted me, it would always be obvious. Now I understand that the men who hide their feelings often feel the most. Why? Because desire is uncomfortable. It's vulnerable. It threatens control. And most men fear losing that control around someone who truly affects them. Instead, they manage their desire. They suppress it, rationalize it, or bury it under routine. Yet energy doesn't lie. Words can be controlled, but energy always reveals the truth. That's exactly what we'll explore today. By the end of this video, you'll be able to identify the subtle psychological and emotional cues that show a man is deeply attracted to you, even if he's pretending otherwise. And believe me, once you recognize these signs, it's like seeing in full color for the first time. You won't need to chase or guess, you'll just know. Attraction isn't expressed through words. It shows through connection, energy, and emotional chemistry that cannot be faked. Stick around until the end, because sign number 7 exposes everything he's been hiding. Have you noticed how his energy shifts subtly when you enter a room? Perhaps he's chatting with friends, leaning casually against a wall. But when you appear, something changes. His voice drops slightly, his body angles toward you, and his focus sharpens, not dramatically but like a quiet pull of gravity. Often he isn't even aware of it. That's what makes it genuine. When a man desires you but tries to hide it, he attempts to act normal, yet his attention gives him away. He'll notice your laugh in a crowded space, remember small details you casually mentioned, and sometimes even echo your phrases unconsciously. Psychologists call this emotional mirroring. His subconscious aligns with your rhythm because you've become his emotional focus. The more he tries to seem indifferent, the more these tiny reactions reveal him, a breath when you speak, a glance when you smile, or the way he momentarily stills as you walk by. Here's the paradox. He may even speak less around you because his mind is processing so much. He's not detached. He's overwhelmed. Desire makes him cautious. He fears his words might betray him. Sign 2, he tries to impress you without trying. This is one of the most intriguing yet subtle signs. He'll casually mention accomplishments, not in a boastful way, but enough to appear effortless. He might adjust his posture when you're nearby, straighten his shirt, or drop a light joke to make you laugh. It's the male equivalent of grooming, both physically and emotionally. And it goes beyond appearance. It signals capability. Men want to be seen as competent, confident, and grounded, especially by the woman they desire. So when he subtly shows up around you, offers help, remembers small details, or gives thoughtful advice, it's not random. He's creating an emotional space where you feel comfortable and impressed without consciously realizing why. Yet he downplays these efforts. Admitting he's trying would reveal his emotions, and emotions can feel risky. Here's what many women overlook. Desire isn't always about touch or words. It's about proving worth. When he aligns his best self around you, it's his quiet way of saying, "I want you to see me at my best," even if he never says it outright. And the more composed he appears, the more deliberate these subtle gestures truly are. Sign 3. His emotions fluctuate around you. This one is a major indicator. You'll notice he can be warm, engaged, and playful one moment, then suddenly distant the next. It doesn't mean he's lost interest. It's that his desire conflicts with his need for control. He's balancing wanting you with protecting his pride. Deep feelings trigger both excitement and fear. This push-pull dynamic isn't confusion, it's chemistry. He's feeling something he can't fully rationalize, so his defense mechanism is to retreat just long enough to regain composure. Think of it like emotional whiplash. He's drawn to the connection, but afraid of being overly transparent. Responding with calm warmth rather than chasing him allows him to feel safe enough to express himself. His tone softens, his guard lowers, and his desire emerges as curiosity. Questions about your life, dreams, and moods. The more emotionally intelligent you are in these moments, the faster his subconscious trust develops. For a man, the ultimate craving isn't physical. It's emotional safety with someone who understands silence without judgment. I recall coaching a woman who said, "He acts hot and cold. I can't read him." Once she observed without reacting, letting his rhythm unfold naturally, he began to open up, not through dramatic confessions, but through small consistencies. Longer eye contact, deeper questions, slower goodbyes. Craving isn't chaos, it's connection disguised as uncertainty. The tension that confuses you often shows he feels deeply, but isn't ready to reveal it. Perhaps that's the beauty of it. Unspoken desire has its own language. You can sense it in silence, in glances, and in the energy between you. So how do you tell when subtle admiration crosses into genuine emotional attachment? This is where the next signs become noticeable, and they might catch you off guard. When he begins to crave your presence day and night, his mind doesn't just think about you occasionally. It starts revolving around you constantly. Have you ever noticed how he shows up in the smallest moments of your life? Maybe he reacts to your story with a quick emoji, shares a random meme, or sends a message saying, "This reminded me of you," without any real reason. It's never a full confession, but always enough to keep a connection alive. This is what emotional craving looks like when a man's logic tries to frame it as casual interaction. He might tell himself he's just being friendly, but deep down, his subconscious knows the truth. He's maintaining that invisible thread between you, a thread that allows him to feel close while avoiding the risk of rejection. He may reach out for no particular reason, then pull back if your response is too warm, almost as if resetting the emotional distance. This pattern isn't a game, it's a form of self-protection. When a man desires someone but fears losing control, he moves between presence and absence. His timing, the tone of his messages, they're intentional, not random. Each message is an emotional breadcrumb, silently saying, "I'm thinking of you, but I can't admit it yet." If you're emotionally aware, you'll notice the rhythm. He doesn't want you to chase him. He just wants reassurance that you're still there. Another sign is subtle possessiveness. This shows up as tiny sparks of jealousy that escape his otherwise composed exterior. He may never say, "I like you," but it's evident in how he reacts when another man's name comes up or when you talk about dating. Sometimes he'll joke about it, but beneath the humor, there's tension. He's testing emotional boundaries, gauging how much attention he still holds. It's not toxic possessiveness, it's simply the awareness that he's emotionally invested. Even his body language can shift. A tightened jaw, a lower tone, or prolonged eye contact, as if trying to claim something that was never officially his. Most men struggle with vulnerability, so when they crave someone, they express it through subtle competition. They may appear more often, offer help, or try harder to make you laugh, quietly demonstrating that no one else connects with you the way he does. Here's the emotional truth. Micro moments of jealousy aren't always about control. Often, they're the only way a guarded man allows his desire to show, because wanting someone without claiming them feels risky. But when you respond with warmth instead of defensiveness, smiling, remaining composed, you signal that it's safe for him to feel. Without losing dignity, that's when the walls begin to come down. Sign 6, he listens in a way that feels personal. When a man truly desires you, he doesn't just hear your words, he absorbs them. You'll notice that he remembers things you said weeks ago, recalls your tone, expressions, and small preferences. He may mention them casually as if it's nothing. "Didn't you say you liked that coffee shop near the park?" Or, "I remember you mentioned your sister's graduation. How did it go?" These aren't empty gestures, they're emotional anchors. Each detail he retains reflects the closeness he's quietly building. Listening becomes his private act of intimacy. He observes your rhythms, moods, and laugh, not to manipulate, but to understand how to connect with you more deeply. He might not say, "I miss you," but he demonstrates it by remembering your world as if it were his own. Around you, his focus sharpens and distractions fade. It's not because you demand his attention, but because you've become his emotional center. The safer he feels with you, the more he craves that sense of peace. Here's the hidden dynamic. Craving isn't always intense or sexual. Often, it's a calm, magnetic pull toward someone who feels like home. Even when he's busy or distracted, he finds subtle ways to re-enter your life, because emotionally, you're his grounding point. I've seen this pattern repeatedly. It's rarely about grand gestures. It's the consistency of quiet connection that reveals a man's feelings. He may believe he's in control, yet the more he resists, the deeper his craving grows. The final sign is the most telling. It marks the shift from attraction to emotional dependence. At this stage, he doesn't just think about you, he feels you everywhere. His curiosity transforms into attachment. When he's with you, he may appear calm and grounded. The true test is how he behaves in your absence. If you notice his energy change after moments of connection, becoming quiet or distant, it's not detachment, it's withdrawal. Craving isn't merely wanting someone's company. It's needing their presence to feel balanced. When he's emotionally connected, you become his anchor. When that energy vanishes, even briefly, it leaves a void. He may try to fill it with busyness or rationalization, convincing himself he's fine. But a scent, a song, or a message can instantly bring you back to mind, and the feelings he tried to suppress return in full. He may check your social media, not to monitor you, but to feel close. He replays small moments, the way you laughed, brushed your hair behind your ear, or spoke his name warmly. He rarely admits this, because men seldom discuss emotional craving, but internally, he feels it intensely. You've become his mental soundtrack. Many women misinterpret his silence as disinterest. In reality, this distance helps him manage the intensity. He's recalibrating, trying to regain emotional control, because he's uncertain whether his mind or his heart is leading. The harder he tries to appear unaffected, the more transparent his feelings become. You'll notice it in his timing. He may vanish for days, then return as if nothing happened. This isn't casual, it's craving management. He hopes distance will lessen his attachment, but when it doesn't, he realizes something deeper. You're not just someone he likes, you're part of his emotional landscape. At this stage, craving evolves into connection. It's not obsession, it's alignment. He feels safer and more grounded with your presence. Hearing from you brings calm. Knowing you're okay restores balance. The unspoken truth about masculine desire isn't control, it's peace. A woman who brings calm into his life becomes unforgettable. When he starts associating serenity with you, that's when he's truly emotionally invested. Ironically, the more he tries to hide his feelings, the stronger they become. You may notice that when he reaches out again, his tone softens. His messages feel less guarded, more genuine. He might ask how you've been, recall a shared memory, or simply say, "I was thinking of you." These aren't random words. They're subtle signs of emotional surrender. What began as craving has transformed into a connection he can't ignore. At this stage, you don't need to chase, persuade, or decode. Simply remain authentic, grounded, and feminine in your energy. The more calm and confident you are, the deeper he leans in. Craving thrives not on mystery, but on emotional resonance. When he senses that your presence brings safety instead of pressure, clarity instead of confusion, he begins to favor your energy over anyone else's. This is when it becomes clear. He isn't just drawn to you physically or emotionally. He craves the version of himself he feels when he's with you. That is the essence of deep attraction. So what should you do when you sense this energy? When you feel his silence, subtle tension, or small attempts to reconnect? There's no need to confront or demand clarity. Instead, focus on your own energy. Be the woman who understands that his desire reflects your presence, not a validation of you. A presence that doesn't need to prove, perform, or please. By maintaining this steady energy, the connection deepens naturally, without words, without pressure. Men don't crave women who chase. They crave women who remain grounded while their world shifts. That steadiness is magnetic. It turns quiet desire into respect and fleeting attraction into lasting emotional devotion. Consider this. He may never admit it, may never express it, but somewhere between his silence and small gestures, his heart communicates a language you can feel. If you've wondered whether a man secretly desires you, the answer isn't in his words. It's in how his energy changes when you step back. When you stop chasing affection, you attract it effortlessly because you embody the calm he can't live without. Here's the truth that lingers long after a conversation ends. When a man craves you, it isn't about seduction or control, it's about connection. The deep kind that sneaks in when he's driving, scrolling through his phone, or lying awake, replaying the moment your smile lingered too long. He may not acknowledge it, may convince himself it means nothing, but craving doesn't vanish simply because it's unspoken. It resides in pauses, in small hesitations, and in the way his energy lingers after you've left. He doesn't crave you because you're perfect or fit and ideal. He craves you because your presence disarms him. You make him feel safe enough to lower the mask he wears with everyone else. He may not fully understand why, but you do. You've learned to read the emotional language behind silence, sensing the truth without needing him to confess. That is your power. It's awareness, not manipulation. Awareness allows you to navigate connection with grace, clarity, and confidence. If you've ever felt that tug-of-war energy from a man who wants you but can't fully express it, don't see it as confusion. See it as confirmation that your energy has impact. Your feminine strength lies not in chasing or proving, but in allowing his desire to unfold at its own pace while you remain centered. When you focus on your grounded energy instead of decoding every action, you move from reacting to leading. You set the tone of the connection, and that is what emotionally intelligent women do. They lead with energy, not effort. They understand that genuine attraction isn't about what you do, it's about how profoundly you make someone feel. That's the line between a fleeting spark and a connection that lingers. You don't need to be the loudest, the most glamorous, or the most mysterious person in the room. What matters is being authentic. Authenticity draws people in. Confidence speaks quietly, and inner peace is the rarest form of power. The more you embody these qualities, the more someone will unconsciously crave your presence. You become the calm in their chaos, the softness that challenges their control, and the person they can't replace, simply because you're being yourself. This is what brings someone back, even when they claim they've moved on. It's what they'll remember long after others fade away. You set the standard for how connection feels, warm, effortless, and real. You never need to chase, because true connection doesn't require convincing. It recognizes itself. I used to believe love was about being chosen. Now I understand it's about being felt. When you live with that awareness, your relationships transform. You stop trying to earn attention and start attracting respect. You stop chasing validation and start commanding presence. A woman who knows her emotional value is unstoppable. She doesn't fear silence. She doesn't panic when things slow down. Her worth isn't tied to anyone's response. It radiates from within. This is the energy that draws people in, not for what you give, but for who you are when you stand in your truth. If this message resonates, if it reminds you of your quiet strength or helps you see someone's behavior more clearly, don't stop here. Join a space where women grow stronger, smarter, and more emotionally confident together. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and become part of a community redefining attraction, not through games, but through emotional intelligence. When you understand how energy, presence, and self-worth connect, you don't just transform your relationships, you transform your life. Remember this, the most desired person isn't the one who is always available. It's the one emotionally grounded enough to make someone feel both desire and peace in her presence. She doesn't chase validation because her presence already speaks volumes. That's who you're becoming, a woman who doesn't just attract love, but inspires it. Once you step into that energy, you'll never question who wants you. Your transformation begins right here, right now.